Mr. John Wayne. He's one of my favorite actors. I have seen so many of his movies that it's just like when I see it, it's like the first time. I don't care how many times I've seen it. I've been watching John Wayne since I was such a little guy. But Mr. John Wayne, thank you, sir. And James Reed singing Bonfire. So anyway, Hero's Heart. Like I said, I wrote this after my grandson passed away. He passed away December 2005, December 18th, I believe. And I just felt like I needed to share this with y'all, because he was in ROTC, and he said when he graduated from high school, his biggest dream was to go into the Air Force, and that was his biggest dream. He wanted to make a career being in the service. So I decided to write this, and it's not only for him, but for all our young men and women. Like I said, my cousin's son, he got transferred to Turkey this past week, and how long he's going to be there, I don't know. She didn't say, but we need to pray for our young men and women, and there's some fathers and mothers and brothers and sisters and grandkids and everything that are in the service, and we need to be praying for them and the family too, for what they have to go through, wondering if their loved ones are going to be coming back. So we need to be praying for them. And Memorial Weekend is really a time to say thank you for the people serving and protecting us. I know a lot of people look at it as, hey, let's go to the lake and boat, get on the boat, go swimming, barbecuing, drinking, and all that stuff. But remember the true meaning why we celebrate the Memorial Weekend. Now, the hero's heart is full of journey and intimacy, adventure and beauty. But like any journey, there are some danger. The hero's journey has the fondest memories, greatest love, achievements, and even our deepest hurts. The journey has the deepest rewards, and that is God's love for us. Now, many times in our journey, God will speak to us in our sleep. A voice will come to us, but we'll make a mistake and think it's our imagination. Now, of course, we'll fluff up our pillow and roll over and go back to sleep. Days, weeks, even months will go by, and the same voice will speak to us again, and then that voice will say, "Are you thirsty for me?" We must listen to our hearts, for we are missing something when we don't listen to God's heart. There are times we think the voice is intruder because we don't practice our belief enough to recognize God's voice. This is what we call the lack of spiritually immaturity. See, young Samuel was the same way when God was trying to speak to him. Samuel went to Eli, his mentor, and asked him how to respond to this voice. And Eli told him, Samuel, to listen and answer to the voice. Today we are so wrapped up in our busy life, we don't even listen or recognize God's voice. We just put his voice in an attic. And now the voice is so faint, we just hear a whisper in the night. Good morning, all we hear is the cry of the day of overcoming of the flesh. We tend to lose our heart with our work or hobby or our lust. Our hearts is like a great mystery. We have many expressions to help us express our heart and soul. When people are described without compassion, they are called heartless, or people who have been jolted. A jolted lover are called brokenhearted. Brave soldiers are called braveheart, or saints have a heart of gold. It doesn't matter how well we have perform or what we have accomplished. A life without heart is not worth living. To have faith, hope, love in our hearts, we first then hear God's voice, His love, and we learn about His compassion. See, a true hero will wake up in the morning and realize God's love is so pure that we reach out to God and ask Him the first question of the day. What do you want me to do today? See, a true heart of gold is not steady in himself, but when God wants in life. A true hero will be the way to the promised land and will not fear danger from the dark side. A true hero will make things easier for us to follow, for he has gone before us to clear the pathway. We now just have to follow if we have that desire to do it. We ask that question, what is our calling? Then answer is Jesus. Jesus called the author and the perfecter of our faith. That's in Hebrews 12:2. He is the one who has put the romance in our heart and the one who first opened our eyes to see that our deepest desire is fulfilled in Him. He started the journey and He will see us through it. Now John 14:2 says, I am going to prepare a place for you. Jesus promised a place at His table in heaven. We'll be welcomed to the table by our lover Himself. No one will have to find a chair or make room for you at the end of the table. There will be a place with your name on it held by Jesus Himself. Heaven is the beginning of adventure and intimacy. This is not any kind of party, but a wedding feast of husband and wife finally together. Our journey on earth is bringing us closer to home. We are working for our future towards heaven by listening, doing, and believing in God's heart. Every day life has hurt us will one day be swept away, and then our true life will begin. Many times we let the hurt take over our heart and we think that we are listening to God's voice, but really it's Satan's voice talking to us. Let this thing called a broken arrow in our heart, and we just don't let it go, and we go to a deeper journey of sorrow. We must give up our wild lovers of darkness and embrace the trust in His goodness. Our heart is made of great drama because it's a reflection of the author of that story, the grand heart behind all things. God's romance is the deepest thing in life. It is deeper even than reality. The only story we should be living is the story that God has written for us in His Word, and that's the only story worth living for. Hebrew. A race is set before us, and we must run for all we are worth. We must have eager feet to raise to the call of God. And we must release the dead weight of a broken heart from the past. We are not alone, for Jesus ran the race and He finished the course that we are in. Study how He did it, because He never lost sight of where He was headed. Jesus ran for desire because he wanted to, not because he had to, or because the Father told him to. He ran for the journey set before him. He ran because his heart was full in it. Jesus had the fire in his heart to open the way for you and me to follow, and the only way to go through is to have the desire that Jesus had. We must learn and study the Word of God, God's love for you and me. For God had made everything simple for us. We must choose to make things hard for us and everybody else. Jesus did not do anything half-heartedly. He did it with compassion and the desire from his heart. In the movie Chariot of Fire, Eric said, "When I run, I feel God's pleasure." The desire comes from within his heart, not by duty. Eric runs by grace, and he is free like a wild animal. Abraham's the Olympic runners because he is driven in order to prove something, not by desire of his heart. How you set your life is how you run the race of your story. By desire or duty? Now that's the question we ask. Well, let me put it this way. I always say there are people who are called to be warriors, people who to be, like police officers or people in our armed service. They're called to be our warriors. Yes, I tell these young men, once you sign your name on that piece of paper when you join the service, don't be a hero, because you're already a hero. The minute you said, "I'm going into the service," like my grandson said, his biggest dream was to go into the Air Force. That's what he wanted to make a career of. But that was not a duty for him, but it was in his in his heart. It was a desire that he wanted to do, and that's what he was called to do. Just like a lot of our young men before, now, and down the road will be called to go into the service. Not because it's my duty, but they said because I desire to do it, and that's what I'm called for. It takes bravery, a true heart, and skills. You gotta have skills. Yes, there's in anything you do, you gotta have some skills, and it takes a lot of training. But just like Jesus, when Jesus went to Gethsemane and he started praying to the Lord, he said, "Okay, Lord, tell me again why I have to go through this. Tell me why I have to get beaten and whipped and nailed to the cross and everything." And he had to be reminded. And he said, "Yes, it's for the children, God's children, to be safe, to come out of bondage, to get away from this, away from darkness." This is my heart to do it. It's my desire to lead these people out. I'm going to be the leader, and I'm going to show them how to be leaders, and I'm going to show them how to fight and not to be scared of darkness. And I've been talking a lot about darkness the past several weeks, and I'm going to continue on talking about darkness, because we need to know how to fight and stand up against it. Yes, I always say, a lot of these pastors always talk about prosper, how to get rich. We do this, you give so much money and all this malarkey and everything, but they never talk about how to protect those possessions that God bless you with. Okay? God may give you a talent, but he can't take the anointing away from you. God may bless you, but he can take it away from you. Now, Satan can always give it to you, and you may not be aware you're worshiping Satan. It's like I said one time. Are you praying to God or are you praying to Satan? There's two kind of prayers. So which is it? Now, just don't do it because you want to do it, because you want to show off from everybody and get brownie points or a pat in the back or get your name in the paper or whatever. You got to make sure this is what God is calling you. Like I was talking to this one young lady who wanted to deal with the homeless people. You got to make sure God's calling you to deal with the homeless people. And I said, your best bet is to volunteer your time at some of these shelters, and you will know God have called you. Plus, you also pray to your pastor and ask your pastor or intercessor, pray for you, to see this is the road, the journey that God's calling you to be in. You got to have faith, and you got to believe, and you got to have love, and you got to have hope. And the desire of God's desire, God's heart, to go into this journey. Don't just say, I'm going to do it because I'm a Christian now. you're gonna fall, you're gonna get hurt, and then you're gonna lose that desire,